Last time we talked about vibe coding. How AI writes code that looks perfect but secretly wants to destroy your weekend. Today we're going deeper into the root cause, AI hallucinations. Here's a fun thought experiment. Imagine hiring a consultant who speaks 12 languages, has read every book ever written, works 24/7, and lies to your face about 15% of the time with absolute confidence. Congratulations! You just described every large language model on the planet. Let's talk about why AI makes stuff up, how often it happens, and why, despite billions of dollars in research, nobody can fully fix it. An AI hallucination is when a model generates something that sounds completely plausible but is factually wrong, made up, or flat out nonsensical. The term comes from psychology, like seeing things that aren't there. Except the AI doesn't see things. It generates things. Very confidently. And here's the creepy part. MIT researchers found that when AI models hallucinate, they actually use more confident language, 34% more likely to say words like definitely, certainly, and without doubt. The less the AI knows, the harder it sells. Think about that. The AI is literally most confident when it's most wrong. It's like a GPS that says arriving at destination while driving you into a lake. Let me walk you through some greatest hits. These are all real. May 2023. A New York lawyer named Stephen Schwartz used ChatGPT to research a case against Avianca Airlines. He submitted a brief citing 6 court decisions. All 6 were completely fabricated. Fake case names, fake judges, fake rulings. When the judge asked for copies of these cases, Schwartz asked ChatGPT if they were real. ChatGPT said yes, they're real. He submitted that response too. The judge fined him $5,000. But that was just the beginning. By early 2026, a legal researcher named Damien Charlatan has documented over 1,200 cases, where AI-generated hallucinations were submitted to courts worldwide. That's 5 to 6 new cases every single day. The sanctions are getting serious. In March 2026, the Sixth Circuit hit 2 Tennessee attorneys with $15,000 each in fines for submitting briefs with over 24 fake citations. A MyPillow CEO's lawyers got fined $3,000 each. A DOJ attorney got caught fabricating quotations from federal regulations. And my personal favorite, a California court sanctioned a lawyer $10,000 for filing fake citations, but then also scolded the opposing lawyers for not catching them. The court basically said, "You should have known these were fake." In 2026, detecting AI hallucinations is apparently everyone's job now. Outside law, it gets wilder. Google's Bard, in its very first public demo, the one designed to impress the world, said the James Webb Space Telescope took the first pictures of exoplanets. Wrong. Google lost $100 billion in market cap that afternoon. One hallucination, $100 billion. That's expensive fiction. Meta released Galactica, an AI trained on 48 million scientific papers. It was supposed to be the ultimate research assistant. Within 72 hours, users found it generating fake papers with real-sounding titles, made-up authors, and fictional abstracts. Meta pulled the plug after 3 days. And then there's Deloitte. In October 2025, the Australian government discovered that a $440,000 report written by Deloitte contained hallucinated academic sources and a fake quote attributed to a federal court. $440,000 for AI-generated fiction dressed in consulting fonts. Here's what most people get wrong. They think AI knows things and sometimes makes mistakes. That's not how it works. Language models don't have knowledge. They have patterns. They've processed billions of pages of text and learned statistical relationships between words. When you ask a question, the model doesn't look up the answer. It predicts what words would most likely come next in a response to your question. Here's my favorite analogy. You know how your phone's autocomplete can finish your sentences? Imagine autocomplete that read the entire internet. That's an LLM. It's not thinking. It's not reasoning. It's doing very sophisticated autocomplete. And sometimes autocomplete suggests duck when you meant something else entirely. 3 reasons hallucinations happen. First, training gaps. The model saw a lot about some topics and very little about others. When asked about something obscure, it fills in the blanks with plausible-sounding fiction. It's like a student who didn't study, they'll write something that looks like an answer because a blank page gets 0 points. Second, conflicting sources. The internet contradicts itself constantly. Is coffee good for you? The model has seen 10,000 articles saying yes and 10,000 saying no. It might blend them into something that matches neither source. Congratulations, you've been served a hallucinated smoothie of contradictory health advice. Third, and this is the big one, the confidence problem. These models are literally trained to produce fluent, authoritative text. Being uncertain isn't in their vocabulary. There's no internal mechanism for, I'm not sure about this, let me think twice. It's all gas, no brakes. Let's look at the actual benchmarks, because the numbers are both better and worse than you'd expect. Overall hallucination rates in 2026, Claude 4.6 leads with approximately 4%. GPT 5.4 comes in around 6%. Gemini 3.1 at about 9%. Grok 4.20 at roughly 12%. Sounds pretty good, right? 4%, 6%, barely anything. But here's the math. If you ask an AI 50 questions a day, at 6%, that's 3 hallucinated answers daily. And you usually can't tell which 3. Now here's the twist nobody expected, the reasoning model paradox. You'd think models that are better at reasoning would hallucinate less. Nope. Vector's 2026 leaderboard found that advanced reasoning models, GPT-5, Claude Sonnet 4.5, Grok 4 actually performed worse on grounded tasks. Some hit hallucination rates of 33 to 51% on factual benchmarks. The models that think harder sometimes make up more. Why? Because reasoning models explore more possibilities. They consider more angles. And in that exploration, they sometimes wander into fiction and then reason their way into believing it's true. It's like overthinking a multiple-choice test and talking yourself out of the right answer. Domain-specific rates tell the real story. Math, about 3%, because math follows strict rules. General knowledge, 6 to 10%. Medical, 15.6%. Coding, 17.8%. Legal, 18.7%. Recent events after the training cutoff, 30 to 40%. And citations, the worst offender, 30 to 50% fabrication rate. The one bright spot, GPT-5 with thinking mode achieved only 1.6% hallucination on medical benchmarks, down from 15.8% with GPT-4o. So when it matters most, careful reasoning does help. But only in specific controlled domains. Some hallucinations are harmless. AI recommends pineapple on pizza. Fine. Nobody dies. But in certain domains, hallucinations can genuinely hurt people. Medicine. 8% of AI health chatbot interactions in 2025 included potentially dangerous advice. That's not a small number when hundreds of millions of people are asking ChatGPT about their symptoms instead of calling a doctor. Wrong drug interactions, incorrect dosages, missed red flags for serious conditions. Law. 1,200 court cases with fake citations and counting. Courts are now implementing mandatory AI disclosure rules. Some judges require lawyers to certify that they verified every citation. The legal profession is essentially building an entire verification infrastructure from scratch because AI can't stop making up case law. Education. This one's insidious. Students use AI for research, incorporate hallucinated facts into papers, those papers get published online, future AI models train on those papers, and the hallucination becomes knowledge. The contamination pipeline is already running. Finance. Imagine making investment decisions based on hallucinated earnings data. AI models can generate convincing financial analysis with completely fabricated numbers. At least one financial advisor in 2025 got sued for presenting AI-generated market analysis that contained invented statistics. Everyone asks this. You'd think with hundreds of billions of dollars in AI investment, someone would just fix it. The core problem: language models predict likely text, not true text. Adding a fact-checking layer means building a separate system that knows what's true, which is basically building another AI that also might hallucinate. It's turtles all the way down. 3 approaches that help but don't solve it. RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. You give the model relevant documents and say, answer based on these. This helps a lot. But the model can still misread documents, combine information wrong, or add details that aren't in the source. It's like giving a student a textbook and they still write things that aren't in it. RLHF, training the model to say I don't know. Newer models do refuse more often. Anthropic's Claude is specifically calibrated to refuse rather than guess, which is why it has the lowest hallucination rates. But this creates a different problem: sometimes it refuses questions it actually knows the answer to. The model becomes a paranoid fact-checker that won't commit to anything. Constitutional AI and alignment techniques. These reduce harmful hallucinations but can increase harmless ones. The model learns to sound careful while still generating fiction, it's just more polite fiction. The honest trajectory: GPT-3 was terrible. GPT-4 was better. GPT-5 is better still. Each generation improves, but the curve is flattening. We might never hit zero with transformer architectures. And some researchers argue we shouldn't even try, that a certain level of creative confabulation is inherent to how these systems generate novel text. Okay, practical time. 5 rules. Rule 1: never trust, always verify. If an AI tells you a fact that matters, medical, legal, financial, academic, check it. The 5 seconds of verification can save you from citing a fake paper, taking the wrong medication, or losing $100 billion in market cap. Rule 2: watch for the confidence trap. Remember, hallucinations come with extra confidence. If an AI gives you a weirdly specific number, 47.3%, be suspicious. Real statistics are messy. Hallucinated ones are suspiciously round or suspiciously precise. Rule 3: check every citation. If the AI cites a source, Google it. If you can't find it, it probably doesn't exist. Stanford found that LLMs fabricate citations 30 to 45% of the time in legal contexts. That's almost a coin flip. Rule 4: play to strengths. AI is excellent at brainstorming, drafting, explaining concepts, writing boilerplate code, and creative work. It's unreliable for specific facts, recent events, niche expertise, and anything where being wrong has real consequences. Use the right tool for the right job. Rule 5: use multiple models. Ask Claude and GPT the same factual question. If they disagree, at least one is hallucinating. If they agree, it's more likely correct, but not guaranteed. Think of it like getting a second opinion from a doctor, except both doctors went to the same medical school and read the same textbooks. Here's the nightmare scenario that keeps AI researchers up at night. As of April 2025, 74.2% of newly created web pages contain some AI-generated text. In Google's top 20 search results, AI-written pages climbed from 11% to nearly 20% in just over a year. This matters because future AI models will be trained on this data. AI hallucinations become training data. That training data creates new hallucinations. Those hallucinations become training data for the next generation. Researchers call this model collapse. A study published in Nature found that training AI on recursively generated data causes irreversible defects. The tails of the original data distribution disappear. Even contamination as small as 1 in 1,000 synthetic samples can degrade model quality. What does this mean practically? The Internet AI's primary training source is being filled with AI-generated content that may contain hallucinations. Each generation of AI gets trained on an increasingly synthetic, increasingly unreliable dataset. The knowledge pipeline is slowly poisoning itself. This is why human-curated knowledge, Wikipedia editors, peer-reviewed journals, fact-checkers, librarians, becomes more valuable in the AI era, not less. We need humans anchoring truth for the machines. AI hallucinations are not a bug that's getting patched. They're a structural feature of how language models work. The rates are improving. 4% is better than 15, but 0 is probably impossible with current technology. The right mental model, AI, is a brilliant, tireless, polyglot intern who sometimes makes things up with the confidence of a tenured professor. You wouldn't let an intern file your taxes, write your prescriptions, or submit your legal briefs without checking their work. Same rules apply. The deepest irony? The better AI gets at writing, the harder its hallucinations are to catch. A sloppy hallucination stands out. A perfectly written one ends up in a federal court filing, a Deloitte report, or a Google product demo watched by millions. Use AI. It's genuinely powerful. But keep your fact-checking muscles strong. In the age of artificial intelligence, human judgment isn't optional. It's the last line of defense. I'm Ctrl+Z. See you next time.